Hey folks, welcome back. I want to start off by saying that I know some of you weren't impressed with my last video. Some thought I swore too much. Some thought I was a little too grumpy. Some thought it wasn't really my type of content. Well, I want to remind folks that what kind of content I put on is what I put on spur of the moment. It's whatever I feel like saying. It's whatever's on my mind. And the last time I did that, well, the last video, I was grumpy. I was over it. I was over people. I was over being hot. I was over being sweaty. You know, up here in Maine, a lot of people don't realize we do get a lot of heat. We get some extreme cold. We get a lot of heat. Usually what accompanies the heat is real high humidity. And I want to be careful how I say this because I don't want to offend anyone else. But some of us are outside all day. It's the life that we have chosen. And for the most part, we enjoy every single bit of what we do. You know, whether it's pouring rain, whether it's well below zero, whether it's over 100 degrees, whether we're sweating, whether we're tired, whether we're in pain, we still try to enjoy what we're doing. But when everything seems to go wrong and you've been working for days, hours and hours a day, for days in the sweltering heat, and again, it's my choice to live the way that I do. I am not complaining, but there's not much reprieve. I suppose I could get in my vehicle, start it up, run the air conditioning, and then get cooled off that way. But what's going to happen when I step out and go back to digging holes or stacking firewood or cutting trees? It's going to feel all that more miserable. So you might as well keep up being miserable and get it over with. And some things can be put off, like my lawn. My lawn, I was mowing last night with a headlamp. I am not kidding. So it was cooler. It was down to like the 72, but it was like 30 degrees cooler than it was during the day, even though it was still humid. It was a lot cooler, so I don't mind mowing my lawn with a headlamp. I just don't care, folks. It's got to be done, and if that's when I can do it, that I'm feeling the most comfortable, I'm going to do it. So the only time schedule I have when I'm home is my own time schedule, and I work very hard for myself. I'm my own worst boss. I'm a get it done, get it over with, move on to the next project, because the way that I live here, you are never caught up. You're trying to keep from getting further behind, right? Because something always comes up. So for those of you who do not live in bug country, as in deer flies, now let me explain a deer fly. A deer fly is the size of a housefly, a little bit wider. It's got a gold or copper wings, and they have a bite. They literally take a chunk out of you, and they draw blood. You can swat them like a mosquito. It's tickling them. So in order to get them, you have to really slap yourself really hard. And what usually happens, if you hit them, they usually stick in your arm, and then you have to, or leg or forehead or whatever, and then you have to pull them out of your arm. I am not kidding. So when they are buzzing around you, it sounds like you have stepped into a swarm of bees. Deer flies, what we call copperhead up here, Not the snake, not the snake. I grew up knowing them as copperheads because they have that copper color. When you are around them all day, and they are relentless, relentless, folks. You are swatting, and when they bite you, whatever you've got in your hands, you drop and you swat. And you swat for all you're worth. And then you have to pick them off, right? Because they're stuck, right? I'm just saying. So the mosquitoes don't really like this type of weather. But the deer flies absolutely love the sunshine. They love the humidity. Now, first thing in the morning, if you're walking through the grass, or when it starts cooling off, or when it starts raining or clouding over like now, the mosquitoes do come out. When the mosquitoes and the deer flies are out at the same time, you can feel something biting you, and you're so used to whacking deer flies with everything, every powerful slap that you've got, and then it turns out to be a mosquito that's biting you. Well, it's a little overkill, but then you have to wipe the remains of the mosquito off your arm or forehead or whatever. So when you're doing that in the sweltering heat with 70-80% humidity, that has not let up, folks. The humidity has not let up, and the heat has not let up for a long time here. Maine is in a heat wave. So, and all the rain has skirted here, except for Saturday. While I was gone, we got a pretty good downpour. I could tell because every bucket, every tote, everything was filled up. My garden was watered pretty good. So we got a pretty good rainstorm. We've got a flood watch in effect again at 8 o'clock on tonight. They've basically been missing us, and what happens is we'll get the rain or some of it, and then it'll heat right back up, and the humidity's higher than it was, right? So there's not much relief from the heat and the humidity. There's no relief from the mosquitoes, the deer flies, and you've got all this stuff that needs to be done. Like those cherry trees, okay? I know I got a little grumpy over the mulch of the cherry trees, but that was my last straw. I was tired, I was hot, I was cranky, I was tired of sweating, I was tired of being bit alive, I was tired of people interrupting me. They didn't offer to help because it was too hot, right? But they would stand there and watch you sweat your ass off, telling you it's too hot to do what you're doing. But they were too hot just standing there watching you. They had to go back inside, right? Or get in their air-conditioned vehicle. Or get in their vehicle, crank the AC, roll their window down, and try to have a conversation 50 yards away. So you have to keep saying what? They were comfortable. They were comfortable, right? So I was over it that day. I was over it. So when this lady came up that always tells me I'm doing things wrong when she doesn't have a clue what she is talking about, because she doesn't garden. She doesn't have flowers. She doesn't have a garden. She doesn't have fruit trees. Nothing. But she belongs to a few Facebook homestead sites. So homestead sites. So she knows it all, right? She knows it all. Well, we all know some of those people are pretty experienced that give opinions and advice on these homestead sites. We also know a lot of them blow smoke out of their ass, right? To make them sound like they're halfway intelligent when they really don't know. So, and it might work for them too. I don't know. All I know, folks, is what works for me here, what doesn't work for me here, and what works for me here, I'm going to continue. Whether works a half a mile down the road or not, I could care less. I need to know what works for me here. That's why I'm always experimenting. So that's why I was tired and grumpy and hot and in a lot of pain and fed up. I was dirty from digging in the dirt. I was tired of swatting all the bugs like this, all day long. You imagine having a shovel in your hand, or a tree or a plant or a container of water that you're trying to work with, and you need both hands to swat, right? It'll drive you insane, folks. So there's a lot of energy going on in a typical day, just swatting bugs here. There is. It'll tire you out so fast. So, not that I need an excuse to state why or explain why I was grumpy, but some of you who have never dealt with this environment or how I live, unless you experience it for yourself for hours and hours and hours on end, whether it doesn't matter if that's the life you choose or not, it wears on you, and you'd get grumpy too a little bit. Somebody tells you that you're not doing it right, and they don't have a clue, right? And when you're on your last nerve, because a lot of things in the heat, they take, or they seem to take a lot longer. Everything is more laborious. It is what it is, folks. So there is that. I don't mean to be grumpy. There's my explanation. You can take it or leave it. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't care if I have subscribers or not, folks. I really don't. Although that last video gained me quite a handful of subscribers. But I don't want people to subscribe just because I'm grumpy and Charlie horse. And then you have to deal with that, right? Even though I'm really hydrated, I need more electrolytes. So there's nothing like walking with 2 5-gallon buckets of water that you just hauled up from the bog, or are hauling up from the bog, and it is uphill like this in the heat, trying to wipe the sweat out of your eyes, because sweat and fly dope stings when it's in your eyes. If you sweat it in your eyes, your hands are full. You have to set the buckets down just so you can either swat a fly or get the sweat that's rolling down your eyebrow and into your eye. So it's not just a nice walk, folks. Even walk. It's an uphill walk in the sun, in the heat, in the humidity, with 2 40-pound pails of water. So nothing is easy. Nothing is easy. Nothing. So everything takes longer, folks. And when things take longer, and for me, I put a time frame on things, and I know I shouldn't. I really know I shouldn't. But I have a schedule here of things that I need to get done, really would like to get done, or try to catch up on, right? So, I don't know. For those mosquitoes, for those who understand, thank you very much. For those of you who you deal with that, and I know there's a pile of Mainers here that understand exactly what I'm talking about, because you were out in your gardens, you were out doing firewood, you still are in this heat just like I am, not making excuses, trying to stay cool, trying to stay hydrated, trying to stay sane with the bugs, trying not to get heat stroke because it's so damn hot. So you're trying to pace yourself when you can. I know there are people on this channel, on YouTube. I know there are some of you that are watching this and know exactly what I've been through, because so weren't you. Now, I also know that it's not just Mainers that are doing this. I know Farmer John. He's a workhorse. He does what he has to too. It doesn't matter if it's raining or cold or snowing or 110 degrees. He's going to do what he has to do, and we're going to try to be smart about it, right? So anyway, sweat rolling down every part of my body, folks. And no, I haven't dipped my head in the rain barrel. This is just, I'm soaked. I'm soaked because it's so hot. I'm sweaty. Everything is sticking to me. And I went down to the store. I don't know, about 1 o'clock, the local store. And I walked in, they had the air conditioner. I ran my air conditioner. On the way down to the store, I walked in and they looked at me and they asked what I was doing today. And one of the ladies just looked at my shirt and she saw it was all sweaty. And I said, well, I'm just trying to get things done. I said, but it just is what it is. So yes, my shirt is soaking wet. I could probably take it and wring it. My pants are soaking wet. My socks are soaking wet. So I still got quite a lot to do before the rain, and I'm going to get at it. I just wanted to come on, even though I didn't feel like I really had to explain myself. I just wanted to remind people that some of us have to be out in it, or feel that we have to be out in it, or we have to be out in it to maintain what we have here. And it just is what it is. And not every day is sunshine and lollipops, folks. It really isn't. Right? So, you know, that's all I've got to say, folks. So for those of you who enjoyed the last video, thank you very much. For those who got offended by the last video, I'm not going to put it. Somebody asked me to put a language warning up in my title so I could warn people when I have a video that I'm going to swear in. I'm not going to do that, folks. We're all adults. Anyway, I gotta go. Bye-bye.